Welcome to TheatreCast, presented by us. You've reached episode number 73, being recorded June 5th, 2015. This is the show where theater teachers and professionals share their passion for theater trends, share practical advice and tips, and ask questions of some of theater's most innovative collaborators. I'm Nick Cusumano, one of the hosts of TheatreCast, and I am a theater and film teacher in St. Louis, Missouri. Joining me, as always, is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm coming to you from Ohio, USA, where I teach language arts and theater. Next year, I'll be teaching theater again. And just on my first day of summer break, yay, that's why I look happy and rested.
And I've been out 2 weeks, but within that time, my stepdaughter got married. I've also attended a funeral. It's like our town, all within 2 weeks of my life. So
he's actually everybody should know, sitting on a ladder for this whole show.
Yeah.
Nod to our time.
Wanted to just take a moment to update our listeners of ways they can find us, because we have decided to take our show on the road, Badoom Ching, and you will now be able to find TheatreCast and all its episodes at theatrecast.org with some really cool backgrounds. We are using Squarespace, which is a really nice platform, and as you know, us theater people are visual people, and it's got all those bells and whistles that make it really nice to use and hopefully interesting for you as audience members to look at. We want to take a moment to thank EdReach for all their support for us over the years. They have helped me in so many different ways, connected me with so many great educators, given me a purpose for connecting with other teachers and sharing the knowledge I have and connecting and sharing and all that type of stuff. And we wish them the best on their new infrastructure changes. So that's just a little bit. So theatrecast.org, that's where you can find us, and easy to type, easy to remember. But speaking of that, it brings us to a great thing that we're going to talk about today, and that's developing your PLN, or your personal learning network. And I'm so honored to introduce our guest today, who has been a part of my PLN for a long time. When I decided to go, oh, I should get a Twitter account. Oh, I started a blog. And there's so many different connections, adventures, and able to meet her in person. And hopefully we'll meet in person again one day on a continent. Maybe it'll be not a totally third continent. Who knows? Karla O of the Drama Teachers Network blog.
Hello, how are we all? Good?
We're doing good. And Karla is a drama teacher in Sydney, Australia.
Yep.
And she is a week away from production.
And I'm not that stressed, surprisingly.
That is great. That's always a good thing. This is the weekend where I'm just like, okay, I can make it. Go get the little stuff that I need to go buy the weird prop that you need to have. Go find the costume. Go sew it. Go do whatever needs to get done, because it's that crunch time. And if you don't get it done this weekend, you're not the one who's going to be doing it. Somebody either's got to solve it, or you got to plan B it.
I think one of the best lessons learned is that the stressful week is just part of the process and helps it be a little less stressful.
Yeah, I think that's. I've done this a few times now, so I'm not too stressed, because I know it'll probably work out in the end, and we've just got to take it a day at a time. We'll get there. It'll be all right. So yeah, it's going to be good.
What show are you doing?
We're doing 13. The Jason
musical.
Robert Brown musical. Yeah, so I think it's got really catchy songs, and the kids are really great. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we'll get good audiences, which will be nice.
Yeah, I think at that it's always interesting to have them play their age too.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I mean, professionally, if they went out at this age, yes, they'd play their age because they're not. But kind of what we do and kind of what draws them in is playing something a lot different from themselves sometimes. And I think
Mm.
it's an interesting challenge when they get to play their own age. And I think it's definitely uh, it offers some different things, whereas sometimes they enjoy the bigger stretch, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think these songs suit their voices because they're quite poppy. So I think
Mm.
yeah, I think that the singing will be really strong, hopefully, which is what you want in a musical. Because sometimes it's really hard to find singers that can actually sing. So
Yeah, that's always the challenge. Can the actors sing and the singers act, and then you add dance as part of that? So
yeah,
it's a whole big
yes,
adventure as you think about casting. But
yeah.
so can let's take a moment to define PLNs. Danielle, you read a blog post about developing a personal learning network. What were some of the points that you touched on in that?
And we'll share that in the notes. Well, it all came about writing this post because I was at some conference here in Columbus, and somebody came up to me and asked if we could meet for coffee the next week because she wanted to talk. I had mentioned PLNs and something I was doing, and she wanted to talk about how. And mostly what I talk about is that it's a sort of a virtual faculty room and a virtual research team that you can put together, a virtual collaborative team you can put together. So this can be useful for teachers, for directors, for artists of all kinds. And mostly what I talked about is starting small because it can be very overwhelming. I think Twitter is a very good place to start
Hmm.
because you don't have to ask permission to follow anybody. It's pretty easy to follow some folks. And I talked a lot about setting up your Twitter account and being smart about what you name yourself, your handle that you create, that it's easy to type, that it's not anything that you have to, generally you don't want to have to say, the convention says you don't want to have too many strange symbols in it or have it be like Party Dude 94. You want it to be, it's a brand, it's your first
Hmm.
brand. So
Mm.
thinking about that. Thinking too about what your picture would be. I said one of the first things I want you to do is get rid of the egg
Hmm.
because I don't follow anybody back who's an egg because I figure you're a bored person. I mean, a robo person or some spammy account. um, and to think about your description for yourself too, and that's also marketing. So starting there and then finding people to follow. I really like I like WeFollow, which is a kind of cool site that allows you to search top accounts within particular subjects. So if you're a theater teacher, you can type in theater teacher or theater education, and it gives you top accounts. And they might not, you might not end up liking them, but they are people who are followed a lot. And then if you follow those people and then see who they're talking about and who they're retweeting, you can start following them. And I just said lurk a little bit and you're free and just watch for a while. And
Hmm.
to also start checking out relevant hashtags and just sort of start out small like that. Um, uh, and we can talk probably more about hashtags as we go on. I'm sure you guys have some good tips with that. But that's how I start out because I think a lot of teachers and especially theater folks, we tend not to be, some theater folks, theater teachers especially, tend to be a little bit exhausted by the other tech and maybe feel a little behind the times in that, and it's a little overwhelming. So just starting small and realizing that you don't have to read everything. It's perfectly fine to just check in at 2 p.m. and see what's at the top and be
Hmm.
okay with it. That's all that you saw. Maybe there was something good, maybe there wasn't. And that's to just start out that way. What would you recommend for people as they start, Karla, with a PLN? How did you get rolling?
I think everything that you just said is pretty much how I started as well. I had um, I did the EduBlogs blogging course, and that's how I came to learn about professional learning networks and using Twitter. And one of the things that stood out for me, because Twitter can be very overwhelming because it moves so fast and everything's so short and snappy. But one of the things that they said to me was use the 5-minute rule. So you go on there for 5 minutes, and whatever you happen to see, you can retweet it, favorite it. If you see someone that's a theatre teacher, drama teacher, you can follow them then and there, but then just leave it and come back to it the next day. And you'll see that over time you'll build quite a network. And so that was the thing that stood out for me. But everything you said I completely agree with. And it's very much you're creating this online image for yourself. So you have to be selective about what you look like in your avatar, how you promote yourself in your notes. And I also think what you tweet out is also something that has to be considered too.
Mm-hmm. And as a teacher, one thing you need to be aware of that Twitter is public, so whatever you put out there, you need to stand up and defend, or you're going to have to apologize, or you don't want to tweet out anything that's going to get you in trouble, or get that would be disparaging to, like, on a student. If you're frustrated, call a friend and complain about that student. Don't post it on social media because it's not the forum. One, we need a model good digital citizenship for our students, and we need to follow it because, for me, I use Twitter in very much a professional manner. I will have some interactions, but they're usually with teachers, and may get. It's not. Well, it's still connecting, and like I said, most of the time my tweets are just, either sharing a resource or connecting and saying, let's meet, or you're going to be at this conference, or what about this tool? I've had some great interactions with people on Twitter that I still to this day have not met, but I consider them a great resource. Like, if you like, what's the word, sketchnoting, Sylvia Duckworth. Mm-hmm. She's a GCT from Canada, and just great stuff that she tweets out, and I just find it really engaging, and once again the visual pulls me in. If you are wanting to build up your following, and I mean, for me it was very very organic and very just as time went on, because I started out with, in February 2012, I did my first tweet at Ed Camp St. Louis, the first one, and I suppose I had maybe 3 or 4 followers, maybe that day. Now I just broke 1,507.
Wow! Look at you.
Over 3 years.
I don't know what I have. I'm gonna check.
And
Darn,
so
I'm behind.
And it's, I mean, that just kind of puzzles me because, or not puzzles me, but I just think it's the power of the PLN, because do I know all 1,500 of those people personally? No, I do not. But it's great to know that the people who've chosen to follow me, we must have something in common. And more than likely it's our passion for theater or edtech or education in general. And it's nice to know that, you have a group to go to connect with. You run into a problem. How do I solve this problem? That's how Karla and I met. She was one of my first followers in February or March of 2012. And I think we had a little bit of interaction back and forth, and then by 13 we had at least connected some more, and then I was lucky enough to get into the Google Teachers Academy, which was in Sydney that year, and then we were able to meet in person. It was great that I had my own tour guide of Sydney.
Only the best.
And that we were able to just connect and share, and we've continued to work on projects and connect, and excited to see what the future will bring, because it's always good to know that we have other people out there. And I think what I find myself not dealing with, but is in the world of theater, we are so busy doing shows. We have to be our own advocates. Mm-hmm. And it's people like the three of us and all the others out there who are tweeting and connecting and sharing and trying to change the world with theater, is that we have to remind people how to do that. So that means we're out there putting up blog posts or doing shows or giving resources out to people to do what they do better, so that they can connect, so that we don't run into all the stuff that we continually seem to have to fight, no matter what continent, because we have Common Core, and Australia has what is your name for the national...
Australian curriculum.
The Australian curriculum, and then...
Highly original.
And like last year in England, they had to fight hard for theater, and they are lucky enough to have it K through 12, and they had to fight hard with the politicians and got it to stay. But it's that it's just reminding ourselves we have to be out there. We can't always just do shows. And that's, of course, where we're comfortable at.
It can help with that, too. I mean, it definitely has a social activist aspect to it, but it also can be somebody posts a really neat article or a video. Somebody just posted, have you seen it, this video in the LaGuardia airport where they were on a delay because of bad weather, and it happened to be the casts of The Lion King and Aladdin were in the same terminal, and they have an impromptu sing-off. I mean, that's terrific. It was such a fun. It was fun to show my kids that, and I could tweet it. Some of my students do follow me on Twitter. That's another thing. Your students might follow you. They quickly become bored by me because it's mostly educational, nerdy stuff that I'm posting, but they loved that video.
Yeah, I think it definitely offers just a way. One, you're not alone, and I think that just that fact, because we are a lot of us, Karla and I are lucky enough, and Danielle are lucky enough that we all have cohorts with us at our schools, but that's not the case in most schools. And so, when you go, oh, I need to teach theater history, give me an idea, then you could post out there and connect and get ideas, and I'm always happy to help. If people have questions for me, shoot them towards me, and I'll try to dig through my little Rolodex, electronic Rolodex, and give you a resource.
I think in general, too, teaching, it's a bit like we're all on our own little islands. We're in our room, and there's 30 kids, and we're just kind of trying to keep the ship afloat. And I think the opportunity with social media is that it is about growth, and growth as a teacher in terms of your pedagogy and your practice. But I think the other thing that could be really advantageous is this opportunity to get feedback on the work that you're doing, the work that you're creating. And that, in some ways, the social media becomes like a bit of a barrier, so it's not it's not as threatening as it could be if you had the teacher in the classroom giving you the feedback. And we've been spending a lot of time on this at school at the moment because we have to have someone come into our classroom and observe our lessons on how we can get better. And I think something that is happening is a lot of the older teachers who haven't had to get this feedback are really getting their back up about it because they're feeling really threatened that they're going to come into the room and they're going to criticize me and tell me I'm not a good teacher. But a lot of the younger teachers or I shouldn't say younger, but those who are using social media, I think, can see the benefit of building a network that's really large and using that to, in a non-threatening way, to become a better practitioner, just in general. So it has so many advantages, I think, if you're open to it, and it's not as scary as it seems, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. And let's say that you're not comfortable being as public, then through the Educational Theater Association, they have their theater community, and so that's more of a closed space. I mean, it's not broadcast out to the public, but it's within that realm right there, and you're definitely dealing with theater teachers there, who are sharing the same experiences and the whole variety of levels within that. So that's another place you can go to connect and problem solving. One thing that I always kind of see on there is show selections, because it's that endless that, okay, what show are we doing next year? I have not made that decision. I do know I'm doing the musical, so we'll see what that may be. But I think it is a process. What's out there, what are the new titles? How to suit your talent best. I have a really strong female lead. What shows are best for that? All that type of where you have the collective brain. You can go to the hive, and it just makes it so much easier, so much more.
And I've noticed
telling the
too,
stories.
People will ask really practical questions in that community, especially like, I need to get this prop, or I need to make this effect happen, and people will jump in and are wonderful about sharing their knowledge. So like you said earlier, Nick, the three of us seem to be lucky in that we're not lone soldiers in our buildings, but many people are, and many people, I think, are maybe not theater artists and theater teachers by choice, that it's been that wonderful winding road that educators take where suddenly you find you're the one who's in charge of doing a show. Why not create a PLN for yourself? Do you guys use any Google Plus communities to help you with that, or recommend any of those?
I haven't spent a whole bunch of time on them. It's kind of a place to share too, but I have connected with a couple of theater teachers on Google Plus, and when we had Hunter Bell on and Deirdre Goodwin on, I definitely shared to those audiences, like the musical theater audiences in there, because they're very enthusiastic people. Speaking of which, the Tonys in the U.S. are tomorrow. Which I'm sure we'll see, Hugh Jackman and a couple other Australians on it.
Yes.
Because it's always a great time to be had, and growing up, that's how you saw Broadway, and they are really. You will see, and it's kind of interesting that I noticed over the years is. They know that it's the way people see information about shows, and probably the biggest audience for theater within a year in the United States are specifically focused on that. is building that up, and so they'll include shows that aren't nominated as part of the performances to help them out. That makes sense, that they're there and sharing so that they can help get people excited to come to Broadway. And also an interesting thing, and I'm kind of excited to see who they announce. Maybe we'll know them, maybe we won't, I don't know, but the first Theater Teacher of the Year joint partnership between Carnegie Mellon and the Tony Awards will be announced tomorrow. And how great is that that theater teacher gets a national audience? And we'll just kind of have to see who that is. I don't know. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing who gets announced.
I wish I could enter, but I can't because I don't live in America. I would nominate myself just so I can have a Tony. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and if anyone would like to nominate me or anyone else on the show, please feel free. I'm sure announcements will be. And don't think it didn't cross my mind, but I'm sure it was middle of production when it was due.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah.
But I did put on my calendar for the due date for that.
There are a couple of pretty active communities on Google Plus that might be of interest to folks. One of them is just called Theater Talk. And if you, like Nick said, if you're a little wary about being super public, then Google Plus might be the way for you to go. You have control over what people can see of your posts, which is nice. And you can join these communities. There's one called Theater Talk that's pretty active. There's one called Musical Theater Enthusiasts. That's pretty good. And these, you'll find all different kinds of interactions on those. It can just be that people are posting theater news that's happening right now, and that's important for you and your students to stay abreast of as you continue know what's happening out there in the rest of the world beyond your classroom.
And another one, and a former guest was the people at Theater Folk, because
I love
they know their audience, and I love that they focus on us, and that is a really great thing that they do. So some of the things that they offer on there, they have their Facebook page, their website itself, and if you have a little bit extra budget money or some money that you need to write off on taxes, they have their Drama Teachers Academy, which has its own private Facebook group too. And for us, it is really, I'm always the lone wolf. When I go to EdTech conferences, I am the lone wolf. I will run into another lone wolf, but and I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me anymore. But when I meet one of my kind, it's always exciting.
Does it happen this way for you too? Usually, I'll have just presented, and somebody will come up and say, "You have to be a theater person."
I usually start off with that. That's my intro. Hi, I'm Nick Cusumano. I'm a theater and film teacher from St. Louis, Missouri. So I don't even, because, my main, you are a jack of many trades, and I'm a jack of some trades. That's
the nicest way anyone's ever called me ADHD, ever.
Well, you teach a variety of things. You have many titles.
I'm a Swiss Army knife. I am.
Within your building. My titles are theater and film teacher for the most part. I'm the Google guy, and I'm the tech guy, or technology guy. But It depends what they come up to me for. Usually, if it's within my school, I'm the Google guy, or how do I do this, and that's fine. But if people don't know me, then it's just whatever I say, and I usually start off with theater and film teacher.
Karla, do you encourage your students at all to create their own PLNs? I guess it would be an SLN.
I can't say I have, actually. It's
Your kids are younger, though, yeah?
so the youngest I teach in drama is 14, so they're in year 9. Technology in drama, I'm passionate about it, but I've only been at my school. This is my second year at this current school, so I'm still navigating how I want to really incorporate technology into my lessons, and I do want to, and I think it's important. But I haven't really done that much yet. At my old school, we had online blogs for drama journals and things like that. We were using Hangouts to learn our lines and things like that. So there's potential for it to be used. I don't know about PLNs for students. Do your kids have them?
I started playing with it this year. I did. I did it with my seniors in the senior comp class when they were starting to get into the final throes of their college applications. And I said, there's this sort of wisdom, I'll put that in air quotes, coming from people my age and older, saying that you should just not exist online, and it's dangerous and frightening. And I went the other way with them. I said, you do exist online, whether you want to or not. But you ought to do and might do is take control of that identity. And I actually had a digital footprint boot camp with them and said, okay, Google search yourself right now. And if somebody didn't know you, if an alien landed and this was all they knew of you, what would they assume? And now, does it match what you've been telling your college potential colleges that you're really interested in theater? Does that show up in your digital life? One of my students said, all it looks like I do is play Barbies. Or another student said, all I do is silly stuff write things about how tired I am all the time. So they started to change that and started to follow professionals, started to follow professors at the colleges they were interested in going to. On Twitter, started to retweet things from artists that they liked, and then at the end of the boot camp, they re-Googled themselves, and some of them even went so far as to create their own content, which I think is great. And then they re-Googled themselves and saw if it was any different, and said, now I feel like I want to include my Twitter handle in my college applications, and say, look at me, because now you can see that I walk the walk. I want to explore it more. I want to explore it more.
Good.
And I would also suggest to teachers, if you put some of your own content out there, then when people search for your name, the rate your teacher is not the first thing that shows up. Or rate my teacher.
Yeah.
I haven't been brave enough to look for that for myself yet. I'm afraid I'm going to do that after the show. Oh, no.
Yeah, then, I mean, so battle that by making your own content.
Yeah, flood out the bad.
Because, well, and it may not be bad, but it's not like it's not like an interviewer's there to vet their comments. Do you really think that? Is that so and so? It's. I mean, that is life in the digital world. It is something to think about.
I was just going to say, to add to your point about adding your own content. I think one of the hurdles that teachers initially feel is that they think, well, I have nothing to say, but you'll actually find that you do have something to say, and that people will appreciate you for having said it. That was something I really was quite anxious about. I'm thinking, well, what do I really know, But it turns out I know stuff, and people value that stuff because they may not have known it before, or they were just looking for something new to do. So you're contributing.
Yeah, or even that they may have known that, but now they know it's increasing enough. You know, like, oh, I think that too, and if you have that, then you're like, oh, I am doing it right, because so much you're paddling the boat with the 30 kids in the room going, I hope I'm sharing this right.
I'm not a freak effect. Yeah.
Yeah. I find a lot of the people. Oh, sorry. Yes, Danielle?
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say a lot of the people that tend to write comments on the blog at Drama Teachers Network tend to be new teachers who are very new and may not have resources or the experience that they need to be able to feel confident in the classroom. So that tends to be a lot of the people that I get feedback from.
What have been some of your most popular posts, or the subjects of your more popular posts?
Really mixed. They like the warm-up games because I think that's the thing we do at the beginning of the lesson, and people, it's easy to run out of ideas because they're quick little games, and so finding anything new is always good there. And then it's really mixed. It depends what they're coming to look for. Some of them want behaviour management advice because they're new to the classroom where there's no desks. Others are looking specifically for senior work for the HSC, and they value that kind of the stuff. But it's actually really mixed. My absurdism stuff seems to get a lot of comments. So I don't know if there's resources out there about the plays, but I think about putting it into lesson structure, there's not a whole heap of stuff out there. And I think that's what teachers want. They want to know, okay, I'm not resource poor by any means, and having social media, I'm even more resource rich, but it's that idea of, well, what the hell do I do with all of this information? How do I structure it in my head? And if there's someone out there who can scaffold it for you, then by all means use it, you know. So I think with the absurdism stuff, they appreciate that they can see a workshop structure that has connection and flow and works towards an assessment and things like that. So I try to put that stuff on the blog. I've been a bit quiet lately. I have 2 Year 12 classes, so I'm not posting as regularly as I probably should. But
my blog goes through that too. I feel like I should, on those times when I'm just posting a lot, I should just schedule them to go a month later. So that's a
good idea. I'm gonna do that.
I know. I tell myself, like this summer, I'm sure I'll be thinking and have the time to post lots of things, but maybe I need to dole it out better than I have.
And I'm someone who I take a lot of pride in what I am sharing, because I guess it comes back to that whole idea of, well, what is your online presence supposed to be about, and what image do you want to present? And one of the big gripes I have about the internet is there's a lot of rubbish on there, and so if I'm going to add to the millions of resources that are out there, I'd like to hope that they're credible resources and they're usable, and so I like to take my time to think about what I'm going to actually write and what I'm sharing and that kind of a thing. So and that takes time, because you do have so many things going on as a teacher that adding this into your day is just one extra thing. It's like writing the lesson plan again, you know. And sometimes at the end of the week I don't want to do that today. But holidays.
Or like give yourself a challenge, which I tried to do it for 28 days. It did not work, but but I really kind of I liked the forced writing, because it got me to think more ideas and to put it out there, and I appreciate that fact. And sometimes you don't have to do a 4-page full-blown blog post. It could be just a paragraph. it could be a picture or a resource or
The silly little
encourage.
video I just told you about, you can
Yeah.
just post that and
Yeah.
talk about, this is an inspiring thing you can show your students, and of
Yeah,
that theater
true.
can be everywhere. And again, I've started to do, I've kind of become friends with Google Keep, which I hadn't played with much, but I like it because it's on all my devices,
Hmm.
and it's easy. And anytime a teacher comes and asks me something that I have to show them, I've jotted it down in my little Google Keep note that's about possible blog posts for the future. Or if a student asks me a really good question and I have to go look for answers for them, then I might jot that down. Books too, and then later that can become a little, when I'm in one of my dry spells, become a blog post.
Hmm.
Mm.
I would also say check out Evernote.
Yeah,
Very
I haven't been
similar
friends
in
with it.
multi-devices, and I'm enjoying because I got a new phone, I got a premium subscription, which just gives you more uploading and downloading or more stuff that you can put up there. And I would suggest using it, especially as you go through Twitter or Google Plus, and you find those resources. You're like, oh, this is really cool. I don't have time to deal with this, but let me put a pin in that and go on there. Another one that could be useful, and I should use it some more, is Pinterest.
Mm.
But I think sometimes we have to give I want to do it all, but I
Yeah.
realize I can't do it all. Like I
Mm.
don't do Facebook. I don't I don't want to
Mm.
take the time to learn it. I don't like the public private permissions because they seem to change it all the time. So I just leave Facebook alone, and that's my choice. But I really like Twitter and Google Plus, so that's where I choose to do. I think I would like Pinterest, but it's just a time factor, and maybe that's something I'll look into this summer. Um,
I'm remembering one of my, we made a class Pinterest board. So I made a couple of my female students were saying, "Oh, we've got to have a Pinterest board." That's sort of their favorite. So I said,
mhm.
"All right, well, let's make one that we all can post to." And it grew and grew and grew. And one day, one of my senior boys came in, and he was like admitting he was an alcoholic. Only he was admitting he called himself a pinhead. He said, "I can't stop pinning things." So yeah, I think it's a powerful thing you said, that you don't have to do it all.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, find an area that you're comfortable with, that you like. I think Twitter, it's short. I'm not on it all the time. If
Mm-mm.
I'm at a conference, it's something definitely I'm using. If I'm thinking about a topic or want to throw a question out there and I want to throw a big net, I definitely use it there. And if I have a blog post or a cool resource I think people can use, I put it on there. And sometimes people inspire me on there. And, if you catch a video every now and then, that can just, totally change your view. And it's just you've taken the time to just go zoom, zoom, zoom.
Karla, do you use any curation apps like TweetDeck or anything to kind of put all of your social media in one place, or to structure that social media?
I have in the past. What was it that I used? It wasn't TweetDeck. I tried TweetDeck. I
I
got rid of
use
it.
I use Hootsuite.
Hootsuite. That's the one I was using. And
And the nice thing about Hootsuite is you can have, like, I have my Google Plus and Twitter on there.
yeah, I did use it for a time, and then I just decided it wasn't really working for me. But I can so see its advantages. If you're regularly posting and you want to keep the feed running and updating, I think it's perfect for that.
Hmm.
So I definitely would recommend it. If you're a really avid blogger and you'd like to keep that stream happening.
Yeah, and be great. And I would suggest that, and we'll put some resources in the show notes, is what are called ed chats. And so, like, there's one in California ed chat. I think there's some Aussie ed chats, and so an hour sometime during the week, there'll be the hashtag. Like for my state, it's Moed Chat. It was just last night. Ours is Thursday from 9 to 10, and so they'll decide on moderators, and you can put your time. Like what would be. How do you decide a theater season? And 140 characters. Those are really interesting. There's another one called Sat Chat, which is really cool, open, just whole wide world type thing. Global Ed Chat. There's some Global Ed, like Karla and I will start probably tapping into that Global Ed Chat in July. As we push for next year's Theater in our World Theater Day, and start connecting out there because we'd like that to grow.
And that can get really overwhelming too if you're. I would definitely say if you're going to do one of the Twitter chats to get some kind of curation device so that you can filter out everything else and just concentrate on that hashtag. Are there hashtags you recommend, Karla?
The ones I follow, we've got the drama teachers, so hashtag drama teachers, hashtag drama army, Twitter, arts ed, and then I've got some English ones. So we've got Ozing Chat here, so that's OZENGCHAT, Ozing Chat. There's the International Baccalaureate Chat as well, so that one's, I think it's PLP Chat, something like that. Ed Chat as well. So, and Teacher Wellbeing Chat. Oh my gosh, I love that one. It's so good. It's a long hashtag, but that's a really great.
Did you say teachers wellbeing or single teacher?
Teacher Wellbeing Chat.
Okay.
Yeah, great resource. I use Drama Army a lot when we're doing anything that is kind of shared between me and Karla, or I think will work well for that. I use that. Tweeter is another one. Theater Ed sometimes used. And so Tweeter it's like theater, but the H is a W. And spelled the Australian spelling. I did want to take a moment to give a shout out to Krista, who's watching us live. And if you have any questions for us, be sure to put it on the Google Plus events page, and we'll try to tackle it next minute or two, or comment. But we just want to encourage people to. There are resources out there. Find them, share them, connect. Also, the theater person in me probably is, if you're at a conference, have meetups, take time and disconnect with people there and get there, share your social media stuff. I'm just redoing my business cards because I'm going ISTE this year. But QR codes are a quick way of sharing your information. I just have to update because all the URLs changed. I would also suggest, if you are putting a lot of stuff out there, to check out about.me, because it's a really cool way of putting all your various stuff. If I look through all the stuff that I've put out on the web, so, there's EdTech for Theater, there's World Theater Day, there's World Theater Video Project, or worldtheatervideo.com, my school one, and you kind of need a place to organize all of those on there. So that's just something you can use, and is available to you to connect those things together.
And you said something I want to kind of touch back on. You said if you're at a conference, to make sure that you reach out to people and and meet them live. I say the opposite is true too. If you can't go to a conference, you can virtually attend. I called it the couch tour, and I did a blog post about that too, for the Q conference that I was sad not to be able to go to. You can do a couch tour and just follow there's usually a hashtag for every big conference. I'm sure it's the same way in Australia. And if you follow that hashtag, you'll usually get to see people's notes from sessions they went to, quotes from inspiring keynote speakers. You'll find other people that you want to follow, and it can be great fun. And I love Paperly, Paper.li, which is a free app. You can go premium, and it does all kinds of neat things. I'm too cheap to do that as of yet. But it is a really fancy social media curation device that, and I'll share the link to mine, that you tell it RSS feeds, Twitter handles, websites, Google Plus pages, pretty much every social media you could want, I think even Instagram maybe, that you like to follow. And every day, if you want to do it every day, every week, if you'd rather do a weekly, I think you could do a monthly. It puts out an online newspaper that collects all of those stories in a really pretty way. So everybody is like, oh, you're so great that you make this newspaper for us. And I just kind of quietly smile and say, I know, I'm so giving. Really, it's just for me. It's what I sit down and they can all look at it too. But I sit down and read it in the morning with my coffee. That's my newspaper. And it's a personalized newspaper just for me. It's got ed tech stuff, language arts stuff, theater stuff. It's always got the Daily Show. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do when he goes away. But some improv things in there too, and it dresses it all up very pretty. I have it set up so if I tweet something out, tweet a URL out, it automatically goes into the next day's newspaper for me. So a lot of times I'll want to read something and don't have time to look at it, so I'll just tweet it knowing that I'll be able to read it tomorrow in my paper.
Cool. Yeah, there's Scoop. It's another one very similar to that. And there's definitely tools out there, and you could just do the feeds and have them come. Feedly is another way if you want to have stuff come to you through RSS feeds, and if you don't want to make it public, Feedly is like your own personal newspaper or of the place and things that you like. Another thing that just popped into my head, kind of related to Feedly and I'm trying to think what it's called now. Oh, I just lost it.
I kind of want to try to screen share this because it's so cool looking. But my screen share usually goes wobbly, but we'll see. We'll see if it does. So if I get robotic, you can just yell at me. All right. All right. So this is what the Edu Nerd daily newspaper looks like, and people can. Uh-oh. Why did it do that? People can subscribe to it here, and you can see every day it's got different goodies, and it's all formatted. You can change these headings if you want to. These are all what I chose. And I have it set to automatically tweet this link every day. You can choose what time you'd like it to do that. And it tags people. How do I stop my screen share? It tags people that I've quoted in that newspaper. So I find that's another way I get followers. Is it'll say here, Edu Nerd Daily is out and top stories by Karla and
yeah, I've got
theater. And then they retweet those or they favorite that, and then it kind of it spreads and goes that way. And it's so low, and I don't have to do anything. It's just set up and it happens now. Sometimes I go in and dump somebody and put someone new in, but sorry.
And I remembered what I was going to say.
Yeah, I vamped.
Thank you. Is set up your own Google alerts like I have a Google alert that's educational theater. So anytime something's put on the web that falls within those quotes, I get a Google alert, an email, and then I can read that. And then if it's something I feel I can tweet out, I can. And if it's not, then I just move on to the next thing. You could also do that for yourself, which is always kind of interesting, and that might offer an interesting. If you're having a disagreement with a student and they decide to go to social media, it doesn't always hurt to search your own name because then you can bust them early.
I have my students do that too for themselves.
Yeah. So it's just another great tool that's out there. Speaking of tools, and I will put this in a blog post soon. I found through Lifehacker, which is a great website. It's called MakerBook, and it's makerbook.net. So if you're doing posters or sound effects, anything visual for your show, you need a picture to put on the stage to imitate a family or for a place a family member. Photography. So it has photography, mock-ups, graphics, textures, fonts, colors, video, and audio. And handpicked directory of the best free resources for creatives, and that's makerbook.net. And it's my new favorite thing this week. And I love it. There's this one thing called new old stock photos, and I just love it. The photos are so cool, and they're curated, so they're really interesting. So I'll put those two in our show notes.
That's awesome.
As we kind of wrap up, any new resources, things that that you think our listeners might like or find inspiration from? Or, of course, your Paperly is like the best idea ever.
I do love it. This is just practical and very random, but I walked a lot of my faculty today through archiving your Google Classroom classes. So if you have Google Classroom and you're done with school, you can go into your Google Classroom page and the home page, and there's those three little dots that go down, and you can archive it, so you can still access it. Your students still have access to their documents, but it won't be up for next year, which is really handy and nice. Once you've archived it, you can choose to just delete it as well. If you just don't want it anymore, you can do that. So just a little reminder for some maintenance for those of us on this side of the globe.
Yeah.
Karla, don't archive your stuff yet. You've still got a couple weeks before winter break.
Yes, that's right.
Karla, is there anything that's kind of been helping you recently?
Lots of cups of tea. And
That's always a good. Yeah.
Technology-wise, no. Yeah, just trying to get through it, really. It's crunch time here for my seniors, so yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited to do the teacher well-being chat. I can't wait to find that.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I would encourage teachers to take some time for yourself. That's what I like about working out is I always feel better afterwards. And that's the part I hate about Crunch Week is like I don't have any time to go work out. I'm stuck in this dark place and I have no place. I need to move. So I don't get cranky.
I literally got a vitamin D deficiency during my last tech week. My doctor was like, I don't know how you're alive. You have no vitamin D in your body right now. That's because I haven't seen that star, that big glowing ball for a long time. So
Okay. Karla, how can people find you on the interwebs?
Yes, you can read my blog at dramateachersnetwork.wordpress.com, or you might like to check me out on Twitter. It's KarlaO_DTN. And yeah,
Do
hopefully
both
we'll
of those
connect.
things. Everybody do both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be sorry.
Yeah, those are great resources, and just thank you for all that you've done for theater teachers.
And taking time to talk to us during your crunch time.
Because it's
So
early on a Saturday morning.
It's so good. It's not too late here, so it's early-ish.
And Danielle, how can people find you on the interwebs?
If I'm not napping, I might even check my Twitter at Ms. Filas, MSFILAS. You can also go check out edunerdhq.org and see my bloggy musings and find that EduNerd Daily Paperly on that site as well.
And if people want to follow me, you can follow me at edtech, the number 4 theater. You can find me at edtech, the number 4 theater.com. And the new place to find your episodes of TheatreCast is theatrecast.org. Be sure to join us there. Be sure to share out. Be sure if you have any comments, questions, have
show ideas.
Show ideas. We are always eager to hear from you and to share and connect. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.